can be achieved? Because it sounds like those are good, very good, great ideas. Having a level of scale salaries at the same level.
That are defined.
Yes.
Well, my understanding is that when we raise the issue of a minimum wage in different sectors,
right,
the response from the Minister of Labour was that each sector must have its own minimum wage. You can't have a minimum wage for the manufacturing sector.
Okay.
You can't have a minimum wage for the mining sector. You can't have you can't have the same minimum wage across sectors.
Okay.
So the response from the Minister of Labour was that here in Parliament, our role is to agree that we need a minimum wage in different sectors. So their government agreed.
Right.
What we've not been able to see is the harmonization of salaries across the mining sector, because the mining sector is one sector.
Right.
Ultimately, if you get your gold, mwaimba umukuba, you pick your gold, the gold is going to a certain destination. The price is determined. If you pick your copper, you take it into your concentrator here in Mufulira or any other part of Zambia, and you get your copper into the international market using the London Metal Exchange price. The price is pretty much the same. So the question has been, government, you've agreed with us that the mining sector is so important and it needs a certain value in terms of the actual labor cost that will come with it. Why then not agree what will be the minimum wage for a workman, the guys that go underground?
Right.
Why then can't we agree, Okutila, mumigo dingole bombaze pump operator? You are working in the pump chamber. I worked in a pump chamber in Kitu at Mindolo Shaft. I know that the amount of work that is involved in the pump chamber. Okay. So the point I'm making is that from the perspective of oversight, Parliament, we have posed these questions to Parliament. And even as we open on the 12th of September, one of the things that we want to emphasize is that how do we ensure that the minimum wage, which is supposed to be for the mining sector, is well defined across all the mining players. Chambeshi Copper Smelter in Chambeshi, which is a smelter processing copper. There's also a smelter here in Mufulira. There's a smelter in Kansanshi. You can't have people who are subjected to these same environments getting different salaries.
Right.
So the conversation has to continue in Parliament, and my assurance to the people that are tuned in is that we'll take this conversation to Parliament.
Let's talk about illegal mining.
Yeah.
You spoke about illegal mining earlier, and I know that we've had scenes of unfortunate scenes of the result of illegal mining in the country.
Yeah.
It has been a thorn every day we are recording a death, which is quite not a good thing.
Yeah.
How do you see this coming to an end? Is there any possible way to eradicate illegal mining?
Well, there are three things that have to be done.
Right.
I'll be quick so that we have more other things to conversate around.
No problem.
First issue that we need to sort out is, you are aware government has started an exercise. They are calling it geophysical mapping of minerals.
Right.
So geophysical mapping simply means you want to have an idea. You are scanning, trying to scan minerals, different minerals.
Right.
So we have a foreign company that obviously has been engaged to undertake the mapping. The first problem that we have is that once this data has been collected, the information has to be processed. You now need to do the actual exploration. So the biggest complaint that I've picked that will affect our resolve of the problem of illegal mining is that once this data has been collected, okay, are we going to be 10 steps ahead of the people we're calling illegal miners? Because ichilenga abantu bale ibimba muli illegal mining is that you know, when you go to do some farming,
yes,
you have carried your lukaso, you arrive, as you are digging, then you pick these minerals, you just notice some stones that have got a different, unique appearance.
Right.
So people then start saying, these must be minerals. Okay, so the starting point for me is that, can we ensure that once the mapping has been done, government should then be able to move 10 steps ahead to be able to say, oh, we have found minerals in Chavuma in Northwestern Province.
Okay.
We have found minerals in Impika in Northern Province. We have found minerals in Mapatizia, Southern Province. Can the local people be the first people we should engage so that they participate. We formalize them before they start, because the gold rush simply means you are rushing for the gold that has been found.
Right.
So the question is, government now has done the mapping. The information will be processed to know what type of minerals are there. The next step for me would then be, can the Ministry of Mines, the Ministry of Commerce,
yes,
the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises be 10 steps ahead? By the time government is announcing that the minerals are in these different parts of Zambia, we should have formalized the people that need to participate in the sector. We should be 10 steps ahead so that we don't have illegal mining. We're having illegal mining simply because we have young people, elderly people that are the ones that seem to be discovering minerals, when government can be 10 steps ahead. So step number 1, we formalize the groupings. Number 2, we utilize the provision of the law. The law says we now have what is called an artisanal mining fund. In the laws of Zambia, we have a fund that is supposed to deal with issues to do with funding to artisanal miners.
Okay.
Can we resource that fund? Abandens Ghana, they've established a fund. There's a fund that supports financially, because one of the reasons why we have foreigners dominating the mining sector is that they are able to use our exploration license, they're able to use our mining license to go and borrow money where they are coming from. So kuno kumufuliranga kuli kwenche ndio kwa shala some potential for mining. We should then ask ourselves, can we not just formalize them? Let's not just give them a name. Let's not just give them a certificate of incorporation.
Okay.
Let's not just give them a license. Let's also give them the money to buy equipment. So 2 things: formalization, licensing, and providing the resources that our people need to participate in the sector. Then we'll avoid these stories of Mufumbo people are dying. Senseli mine in Chingola, people are rushing for an already registered mine.
Okay.
We can prevent that. Yeah.
Moving on, you earlier mentioned of a lot of things that we can discuss about the extractive sector.
Yeah.
This time around, I want us to switch tables a little bit. Let's look at the agriculture sector.
Yeah.
And I want you to share with the people that are listening to this broadcast. Is the ministry itself, agriculture sector in our country, are we in safe hands?
Is the sector ticking?
Is the sector ticking? Let me ask that. Are we in safe hands? How do you describe it so far?
Well, Christopher Kang'ombe is on record
Right.
in Parliament. 2 years ago, I asked the Minister of Agriculture. I asked Honorable Mtolo, Honorable Minister, Zambia in 2021 produced 3.6 million tons of maize.
Right.
Twalimba matabaya linga, the quantity of maize which was produced was 3.6 million tons of maize. It was enough to feed our country. We asked government why they were exporting maize in 2022, which was the following year. They told us we have enough maize. We found 3.6 million tons of maize. Our argument was that, look, we don't want to risk food security. If you export so much maize, we will not have enough to give our farmer, to give our millers that produce meal. No mutengo kaya pamulu. We warned our colleagues in government. Unfortunately, they didn't listen, but I think they've learnt their lesson, because when the challenge of price of meal came about,
right,
the main issue was that we didn't have enough maize to give our millers. So in terms of the policies in the agriculture sector, yes, exports will suffice when you know that you have enough. You can only decide that we are going to export so much maize when you know that there's enough for local consumption,
right,
and there's also enough for our colleagues to be able to give to the millers that are in Zambia. So are the policies correct? The first policy that I think needs to be maintained is the fertilizer input support program.
Okay.
So government wanted to abolish FISIP, to say, no. We're spending $500 million buying fertilizer for our farmers. IMF says we are spending too much. The people that you are spending too much money. Government was on the verge of abolishing FISIP.
Is this a good initiative?
It's a very good idea, and
Okay.
I'll explain very quickly.
Right.
80% of our maize, bumper harvest. Another 3.6 million tons has been produced, similar to what was produced in 2021.
Okay.
So instead of abolishing FISIP, we should simply ask ourselves, how do we raise the efficiency of the program? Because FISIP gives us 80% of our maize. So if Zambia is getting 3 million tons of maize from small-scale farmers, Why then should we abolish FISIP? Because it simply means that Variama farmers they are producing enough for our food security. However, there's one problem that we need to deal with, the issue of those who collect the farm inputs but don't actually go into farming. So we need to deal with the administrative challenges to not affect the efficiency of the program.
Okay.
FISIP as a program is an effective activity, but it just needs to be improved in terms of efficiency. So are we getting things right? From what I've been able to pick now, government last week announced that they will export 500,000 tons of maize. We are waiting to hear the numbers, how much maize will remain. What is the monthly consumption of our people in terms of the maize that they have to consume? So we've done our part as members of parliament to hold government accountable, because the role of members of parliament in parliament is to simply say, wait a minute, government, you want to export all the maize. Have we secured what is enough for our food security? The other problem that I've noticed is that the pace of procurement. You know, when farmers produce maize,
right,
they want government to quickly start procuring so that they can deal with their expenses. We raised this issue in parliament. Christopher Kang'ombe asked the minister, why are we exporting 1 million tons of maize? And that's how come, because we raised these issues.
Okay.
They've reduced the number. They've said, 1 million is not what we are going to produce. So are the policies? I think there's been a lot of inconsistency in government. I hope that now that they are hearing what we are telling them, I hope that they could be more consistent. If we are maintaining FISIP, can we deal with variable imbuto, the people that are pilfering the fertilizer, the people that are stealing the inputs? Can we give the right beneficiaries? Can we give our farmers who have potential to produce food security for our people? That's the first thing we need to do, and I'm trying to summarize. Number two, we need to ensure that when farmers produce the maize, here in Mufulira we've got farm blocks. Kitwe, where I'm coming from, we've got people that produce maize. The Food Reserve Agency is delaying to buy the maize that has been produced in the right amounts of quantities. So the farmers are saying, briefcase businessmen, tell us if we have to put our maize together and sell it into a foreign country. These are housekeeping issues that government needs to attend to. And I hope that, because I know whenever we have these conversations, whether in parliament, whether it's here on radio, there must be government officials listening to some of these conversations. Get a book and get a notepad and be able to say, okay, government wants to sell 500,000 tons of maize. Will the maize be enough to be able to give to our millers and to be able to also support food security for our people?
Right. We move on this time around. Obviously, I'll be opening the phone lines at a given time for you to interact with the people. Listeners, I can see text messages and phone calls are already appearing on my phone. But let's speak about, is there a way that we, as we record this bumper harvest, especially in this season, let's foresee the coming season. We've had challenges, especially where issues of rain seemed to be an issue at some point. Do you see government learning lessons from such nature? And of course, putting themselves in check to understand what climate change could also mean to the country?
I'm happy you've raised that issue. So government has got different departments. There's a department that deals with ensuring farmers produce.
Right.
But you see, one of the requirements for producing a good tonnage of maize or any cash crop is that you need the water. Obviously, you need our soils to be enriched. You need enough water to go into our soils. So we expect that government by now should have done the forecasting. Okay, how is the rainfall pattern moving forward? Because now we are in the month of August.
Yes.
August yalapo, we're going to go into September. So my question now to government is, what are the experts from the meteorological department projecting? The guys who understand rainfall patterns, what are they projecting? Because if the projection is that we won't have adequate rainfall, it then therefore means that I am at 3.6 million tulimine. There should be no excitement to export. Okay. So what you should do now as different media institutions is to send a press query to our colleagues in government. Minister of Agriculture, the announcement is that you want to export some of the maize. what is the forecasting in terms of the rainfall pattern? Are we going to have adequate rainfall going into October, November, December, into January? So that we are assured that next year we'll have another bumper harvest. Because this is the mistake they made. So in the event that we don't have adequate rainfall, it is possible to plan. It is possible for us to be able to say, how many farmers, okay, what is the role of Zambia National Service? What is the role of these other government departments? Because I'm sure you are aware that ZNS is a service department of our defense force. So what role can ZNS play to ensure that as our farmers are supported under FISIP, we should also then ask ourselves, how much money are we putting into different other government departments that can help us produce enough food for food security? So I totally agree with you that someone must explain to us how much rainfall are we expecting to receive.
You made something very interesting as well, as you were sharing with the people.
Yeah.
Do you feel the export should be there for now?
No, for now we don't need to export any maize.
Okay.
And the reason we shouldn't export any maize, it's very simple. History has told us that before you export maize, there are three things you must do. The first thing is you must understand how is the outlook for the rainfall pattern. First thing, because it's the good rainfall that will give us the right amount of maize that we are going to produce. So first issue is, do we export now, or first we establish the rainfall pattern going into the rain season? First issue that we must do. Secondly, we then ask ourselves, has the consumption of maize increased? Do we now have more people that are consuming mealie meal, which is a product of maize? Okay, and maize is not just about food security. You know that maize is what we also use for other livestock products.
Right.
Okay, so what government should be able to do is, when you give them an opportunity to come on this radio station, they must be able to answer to these questions. Is the rainfall pattern going to be good enough for us to produce more maize? Number two, do we have enough money that we've put aside to support our farmers that produce the maize? Thirdly, do we have enough consumption levels that will be met by the maize that we've produced? The excess then should be an opportunity for us to be able to export.
Okay.
What I saw in 2022 was that there was a rush to issue what is called an export permit. Because when I asked in Parliament, why are we exporting 1 million tons of maize? The Minister of Commerce, Honorable Chipoka, who is in charge of export permits, because export permits are not issued by the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay.
They are issued at the Ministry of Commerce. So Honorable Chipoka was shocked to learn that the Ministry of Agriculture wants to take out 1 million tons of maize. So the minister came to my seat in Parliament and said, Honorable Kang'ombe, we've not issued any export permits. So 2022, too many people got export permits. Whoever had an export permit started buying off the maize and taking the maize into Tanzania, taking the maize into East Africa, taking the maize into Congo. So this time around, I'm expecting that we should have a more coordinated approach. I hope that government is listening to us, opposition members of parliament, who are raising these fundamental issues. If we parliament, even me coming here today, I'm reminding government of its obligations. Get the agriculture sector correctly. We can actually create jobs in the agriculture sector. We can actually ensure that apart from mining, we have others that are securing employment in the agriculture sector.
You're still listening to a special paid for program, and in studio we are privileged to host Convinced Member of Parliament, Honorable Christopher Kang'ombe, as we discuss issues of national importance this morning. Let's move on, Honorable. And again, as we move on, I'm just looking at some of the text messages I'm receiving, quite a number, very interesting text messages.
But I hope we still discuss the economy as well.
Of course, we're discussing the economy. That's where we're moving to.
Yeah.
Is the economy of Zambia on the path to recovery? That's my first question I'll ask.
Very important question. The state of the economy.
Right.
So there are three things that should define a performing economy. Number one, an economy should also respond to the day-to-day challenges of our people.
Okay.
So when the people who have studied economic policy, when the accountants, when the economists are seated, they are giving us those nice figures, economic growth. They are telling us the performance of the exchange rate. We must then be able to ask ourselves, do these fundamentals translate into a ticking economy in terms of responsiveness to our people. Because abantu balekabila when we come on radio the way I've appeared today, and I'm mentioning figures, no, the economy is doing this, there must then be a translation in terms of how does it benefit our people.
Right.
So I'll give an example. You are aware that most Zambians now, because not everyone can be employed in the mines, not everyone can go into Mopani in Mufulira and get a job. Not everyone can go into Luansha copper mines and get a job. Not everyone in Zambia has an opportunity to be formally employed. So people want to do business. Now, there are things that are affecting the participation of Zambians in the business sector because business is too general. So I'll give an example. Right now, we have lost power at Mambako. Mambako is not producing enough electricity because the machines need to be attended to. Secondly, we have electricity which has not been adequate for the last, I think, 1 year now. People have faced a challenge of electricity. So as we discuss the economy, we then ask ourselves, do our people that are operating in different market facilities, do people that are doing the actual trading, do they have enough electricity to support their businesses? Okay. That is why Christopher Kang'ombe went to Parliament and made a proposal that, look, mining companies have enough money to produce half of their electricity. So instead of ZESCO producing all the electricity and selling it to the mining companies, why not half of the electricity going to people that are doing the actual trading, those that are running barber shops, those that are running saloons, those that are running printing shops, those need electricity. So I took a proposal to Parliament to say, this thing will affect the economy of our country. The economy will not tick because our people will not be able to do their businesses. Can we come up with a new law? A new law that will say, big mining companies, produce half of your electricity, let ZESCO sell you half, let the other half of electricity go to the domestic consumers, people running salons, barber shops, those running liquor shops, those need electricity. So the first challenge with the state of our economy is that we don't have enough electricity to sustain small businesses to grow.
How then, when we see
first challenge,
when we see in the tabloids, we're hearing from experts coming from the economic sector projecting Zambia to reach at least 6% by 2025 with those
economic
challenges.
Growth.
Yes, economic growth by 6% in 2025 with those challenges that you're citing. Do we see that coming to effect?
Well, first of all, Christopher Kang'ombe was trained as an engineer.
Right.
I was also trained as an economic policy analyst. So apart from studying engineering, economics, let us go and understand the economic side of running a country. Right. Okay. So from an economic point of view, on paper, those indicators can be there. Okay. The people that are experts in economic theory, and I'm calling it economic theory, will tell you that research has proved that economic growth does not mean that there's impact on the local people. Yeah. They'll tell you research is there. There are papers that have been done to try and bring these theories now into practice. And the argument has been, on paper, the economic growth will show that the economy is growing at a certain percentage, whether it's 6%. Of course, it's not yet at 6%. I want to correct it. Right. We are not yet at 6% economic growth. Okay. Last year, I think, and the other year, we were averaging 2.8%. Okay. That was the growth of the economy. So even if you have 6% economic growth, you then do a reality check. Do we have adequate electricity for our small businesses to thrive? Okay. Secondly, let me give you an example. We have mining companies on the copper belt who are not paying mining suppliers on time. So if you are a mining supplier, you borrow money to service an order, you take goods into Mopani, KCM, Luansha copper mines, or any other mining company, and you're not getting back your money within the 30 days. What that does is that where you borrowed money, there'll be interest accruing. Right. So I'm asking myself, if the economy is doing well, why can't mining suppliers then be able to pay our suppliers on time so that our suppliers have money? Because when the suppliers have money, the marketeers have money. When the marketeers have money, everyone will then be able to say, economic growth economics. It then translates into impact on our people. So in short, the challenge of the energy sector has affected the performance of key sectors such as those that want to do business. Lastly, you are aware that under the energy sector, it's not just electricity.
Right.
We also have the issue of the cost of fuel.
Of course.
So I've argued, and this is my argument even today, why should it take IMF? Why should it take the International Monetary Fund to tell government to allow other oil marketing companies to use the Tazama pipeline? Because for the last 3 years, we've had only one company called Agrofuel getting to use the Tazama pipeline to bring in the finished commodity. Now, because you have one company using a pipeline, it means that the price of fuel will remain high. Okay? So we argued in Parliament. Christopher Kang'ombe argued in Parliament. Why have you allowed one company to transport a commodity called fuel when you can have different players transporting the commodity so that there's some level of competition? So for the last 3 years, people have been paying a high price of fuel. It had to take the IMF. Now, when we were talking to each other, Zambians, unfortunately, no one was listening. Right. So is the price of fuel affecting the performance of the economy? Yes, it's affecting the performance of the economy. You are a trader, you have to go into Nakonde. You are in Nakonde, yes. You have to bring in your goods into Mufulira.
Okay.
You are paying more because the price of fuel is high.
Right.
So we are hoping that no yumtengo baleshti sharp of fuel at the moment.
Okay.
After people complained, after IMF spoke about it, which was a bad thing,
okay.
we've had a slight reduction, and I'm saying slight reduction,
okay.
because diesel is still expensive. Petrol is still expensive. We can still get it to a lower price when we sort out the taxes in the oil marketing business, okay. and also allow for a better performance of the sub-sector called the petroleum sub-sector.
Some of the challenges, or rather issues that have been raised from the issues concerning fuel, yeah. has been the monthly review of it. People complain of the monthly review. What's your thought about it as well in relation to what we're discussing now? And with that in mind, I also want you to share with the people, you are suggesting that suppliers using the Tazama pipeline should be more than one. Do you feel that way we will address the issues that we're facing in the country in terms of the economy?
And the price of fuel.
Right.
Well, there are two things we need to do in the fuel subsector, or what you call the petroleum subsector.
Okay.
Number one, we argued, and I'm always happy that Christopher Kang'ombe is on record.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm on record in Parliament,
right,
asking the Minister of Energy why we can't recapitalize Indeni. Okay. Because the whole essence of Indeni was to ensure that we have the feedstock coming in, which is the crude oil. We refine it in Indeni. We produce all these different products, bitumen, heavy fuel oil, the one which is used to produce electricity in Ndola. We produce different petroleum products. So I asked the minister, why can't we resuscitate Indeni? Government said, no, we have changed the model. Indeni is now an OMC. Now, despite our consistent argument to resuscitate Indeni, what have we seen now? There's a refinery that an investor from China wants to set up in Ndola.
Okay.
So my argument is, did our investor want to set up a new refinery? Is that the reason why we closed off Indeni? Was it an agreement that when we close off Indeni, then we'll open up opportunities for the establishment of a new refinery? Because I would have expected that the Zambian government would have sat with the Chinese government to say, yes, we welcome investment in the refinery sector. But why can't we partner with this investor on Indeni? Because clearly the issue is the product you get out of a refinery. So my hope is that, I know it's water under the bridge, but honestly, I would have expected that instead of closing Indeni, kuchilo kwisala Indeni, we should have simply said, ku Indeni fibulile finshi. Ababa kweti olupia ba investor bale fokwisa running the new refinery which will be set up in Ndola. The infrastructure, the pipe from Tanzania into Zambia through Mpika is already there. Ingila mu Indeni. So why not resuscitate Indeni? Government may have their own reasons, but my hope or my position would have been, let's not even waste money to start establishing a new refinery. Why not just resuscitate Indeni? First thing that should have been done, but it has not been done. There's a different roadmap that has been implemented. Second thing that should be done, If we want to run a pipe from Tanzania into Zambia, finished product, that pipe is only carrying petrol at the moment. So kumutengo wa diesel, we still have a problem. Okay, and you know mining companies use diesel,
right?
Trucking companies use diesel, so the consumption of diesel is still high. So that single pipe, the Tazama pipeline, cannot bring down the price of fuel for our country. What we need is a refinery. I'm hoping that Indeni would have still played that role. My considered view is that the millions of dollars that needed to resuscitate Indeni could have just been pumped into Indeni. Thirdly, there's been an outcry from the players.
Okay.
Puma, Total, all these Lake Petroleum, these who are in the oil subsector, they've been saying, look, we can't have one company running the pipeline. Government has listened. So now we're going to have, I don't know how they've accommodated the days,
okay,
because a day only has 7 days.
Right.
So I don't know how they are sharing the utilization of that pipe. Okay. Maybe we need an extra pipe. I think we need an extra pipe.
Okay.
And the pipe is what? 1,700 kilometers between Zambia and Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
Maybe we need 2 more 3 pipes, but for me, I want to be on record. A refinery is a strategic institution. Bring in your crude oil, produce diesel, produce all these different products, give Ndola Energy the heavy fuel oil, HFO, which you need to produce electricity.
Right.
Currently, Ndola Energy is running those huge engines using diesel, when they could actually run those machines using heavy fuel oil. So those are things we need to do some in terms of housekeeping.
That sounds like great ideas,
yeah.
Honorable, and I hope the people that need to listen to this conversation are listening so that we see how we move going forward. Time is not with us, Honorable. Let me also give an opportunity to the listener to ask a few questions.
Exactly.
For those that are tuning in this afternoon, it's 12:01. Give us a call, the number 0762-977-977. Let's get talking. That's the number that gets you through to Mafken FM. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, mabuga shani mamwe.
Umutende ba shibuka shani na beza. Nango ba bomba shani.
Na bomba ga itwa tule kutika ku program Yesu masane mulelo ndrola.
Emkwai.
Nine ZDs.
Emkwai ba ZDs na bena tiba alunda pomkwai.
Emkwai ba Kang'ombe.
Mkwai.
Shibuka shani mtunguroshi.
Ndiwa mutende natumitandalira mukati ka mufulira.
Nifo fine kabiri mwabishi bapara twale kabira para tidani natimira bona ka message.
Mkwai.
Birali mbina abakamona na mona betamulole sheko.
Twatila kumpa okila kuno.
Ni mbona sheko mwatila kumpa uka.
Mkwai.
Show yuti treasurer.
Mkwai.
Program mulelo ndo Yesu masana. Nomba inecho ningatemwa ukwebati mwayabe Kang'ombe kuti mwayabe bokwebati pali inoshitikifi kweta mataba ayengi kuti chawama babika unowine mwaka bachita subsidize fertilizer pakwebati twalikuna pona yandi amataba ayengi but wikesachula noti kushitisha amataba yatukwete lero nomba tatwishime mfula ngaikaruka kwe bachita subsidize fertilizer pakwebati nabaleshita tebandi fefo bakwata fya mafamu ya kwata kwa mu cooperative twashita kofe nzina ichipatu walima na kabisa. Echa number 1. Lero echa number 2 kutina temwa mwabeva bale ko kushitisha maraiti kulabaleshitisha pakwebati nabama baba shopu aba kwelinga na boba kwata ko urubali basekesha kona kukwebe na Zambia not strike na munti lero tukwate shuko kuno kukarukanya malaiti mailota yayi hapo lero na nomba na tukwata tunfira kona malaiti na totera bombeni wino mwetu ngurushi.
Thank you for coming to 0762-977-977 is the number. You can simply call us. If you are on Facebook, you can drop your comments in the comment section. Get to our WhatsApp as well. That's 0762-977-977. You're through to Mafken FM. Good afternoon.
Yes, good morning. Morning, Mr. Mwengawai.
Good, thank you. How are you, sir?
Is it afternoon or it's morning?
It's afternoon, but you can go ahead, sir. Depends on which part of the world you're calling from.
Now to share the sword, yeah.
Please go ahead.
Indeed, you are talking to the voice of people. Mr. Sian, calling you from Rundi Washington.
Go ahead, please.
Voice of the people. Mkwai twalinda fe wino we natutandala kuno ku Mafken.
Mkwai twamipokela mabukweyo.
Mkwai.
Inedyonse ekya bantu ni mumba balanda kuchira muchinga tamwa bakulondorola. Edio chimbi yemona yizusiro yanjalanda fyokwebachi. Yufwaira komeka amatu. Na unipanganda nangu abantu bariko kubachi ule indefi. Ero wachino kuchawo ndike nyine mwini. Iyo kaina lishibesho njenda. Sisa mkupulika mnyimfwa. So yonsero tulera nange simulanda sifu masana. Nomba bafuaya bakanjira bali babepa ukuteko mwipo. Kuma night namulanda po especially kuma bantu amataba. Mataba muirati site kujawo. Nangula mwinga monoko batina yafula sungenyi. Bantu next year temubale sa. Tamwishi mfofo ikaloka. Bachwele chiro kwebachi yeto mwensu meko. Ilifiye gweno. Bamea ninomba ni bashire parejo akubando kwebachi mulesa n'obukali. Bachwe tutuwaita n'obukali mulandu kunga twalista tirishani. Close to 400. Chitwakano kuwisa n'obukali kwebachi mwisha mataba. So, lemona ngachakuchira bamatuinga balemu. Ngachakuchira bata balemu fwa. 2026 mpe. So natotera bakangombe konkanye kukutanjire sina bantu ni mumbashire yando kwebachi nilanda request yao. Bantu ni mumbakora mukantarishi muno baza bafwako. Pego konkanye ni kwesi no mutimo yine mukwete. Bakula bapamulesa nifanya atote.
All right, thank you for your contribution. 0762977977 is the number that gets you through this afternoon, and of course, air your thoughts, contributions as well, text messages. Before I get to text messages, I was hoping that I have more calls. You are through to Mafken FM. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bamwengo. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Your name and where you calling us from?
My name is Kang'ombe On. I'm a Mufle resident.
Please go ahead.
Yes, Honorable, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Amanda. Thank you. We have visited you at Mufulira today.
Yes, welcome to our town.
Thank you.
Yes, just a few contributions regarding the mines.
Yeah.
One of the things that are going to help us, I had initially engaged with you online. I hope you had seen the proposal, but I'll mention it.
Okay.
So one of the things that the mine workers need that I feel is going to be beneficial is if we can create some sort of policy that is going to create a dividend structure that helps mine workers actually benefit from the proceeds of the mines.
Okay.
The second thing that mining towns also need is that a fair share of money that is remitted to the treasury should also come to local councils and direct policies created for local councils to have operations that would help them have more industries in their towns. I think that's going to help revive the mining towns, and it is very important that Parliament looks into this issue.
All right. Thank you very much for coming through, sir.
Thank you very much.
07629772 calls, and I'll allow Honorable to respond to some concerns being brought forth.
I'll be very quick.
Okay. You are through to Mafken FM.
Yeah,
Mkwai. Twamisengela. Mkwai.
Akini mwawekesha hapo wambezi ya kushitishia wasangili hawa nenu wali lima PF wego mulata kitatawarisho wahopa kutakini wawekesha hapo kari dozi na kumu awa wantu waba atifia kushia matabafina na kanya wale kisu mwamko.
Thank you for coming through. That's Bash Deborah Pachibolia. 0762977977. One more call. Get to Honorable. Let me hear what he has to say, what he makes of the phone calls coming through. 0762977977. Maybe as we wait for that phone call, Honorable, let's pick it up.
So the last caller and I think another caller talked about what should inform the export.
Right.
Okay, so what should inform the export is number one, the guarantee that the rainfall pattern will be good.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think one of them has said, well, nature changes.
Right.
The patterns, the pattern changes. We might be thinking that there will be adequate rainfall, only to find that actually the rain doesn't come through. So the argument is that don't allow exports to take place.
Right.
I'm hoping that government is listening.
Okay.
Because those of us who have been given the mandate to speak in Parliament will do our part. I think we've done our part. We've been able to caution government that 3.6 million tons of maize, it looks like we have enough maize, but in essence, we don't know what will happen in the next rain season.
Yeah.
So obviously, the caution will be resubmitted to Parliament. In milaya kuba chituma kumulaba so kutila twala mashiwi kai na mtu ebefya kuyalanda kuya komaila fyo kutila yo 500,000 tons mlefo kushtisha ile moneke mpendwa na ichepa, but in essence we don't know what the pattern will be next rain season. And that is why for me my question to government would be, what is the prediction from the experts from the meteorological department? Do we expect adequate rainfall or influla tukachepera na yene ritwalaya mumayinsa? There was also another phone call,
yes,
I think, regarding reforms in the mining sector. One of the callers should have been Mr. Manda, indicated that, look, can we have a system where mining, where the actual mining is taking place? Let's adopt the current policy, I think, in Congo. In Congo, you have, I think, a certain amount of money that is retained in the area where you're doing the actual mining. So you have the central government that collects the taxes. Ministry of Finance. They'll collect all the taxes. But there must be an agreement that Mufulira, for instance, requires certain infrastructure to support its development. Why not return some income into Mufulira? That is the proposal coming from one of the callers. Now, these are good proposals. Elondea ku Parliament, my expectation is that some of these proposals are what I may call ideas for developing Zambia. Yeah. People should not look at Christopher Kang'ombe and which political party he belongs to. When we debate in Parliament, pamula nduwa malaiti, pamula nduwa kulombo kutila aba migodi bale ipangira kwa malaiti, pakutila yambia malaiti yale yamkatikamushi. Because there was a caller that, look, can we find a way to avoid exports of electricity? I think that is what one of the callers was saying. I agree with that proposal. But you see, we can only get to that proposal when we recognize that for as long as the citizens are not participating in the economic activities of our country, people will not see the benefits. So can we caution government not to export electricity? Again, Christopher Kang'ombe asked the Minister of Energy, the Minister, how much electricity are we exporting? That was in 2024. The minister responded to my question that they were exporting 600 megawatts. Batantika nefialo Namibia, ile senda kwefi Botswana, intile febali sampa ulama laiti yesu yonse. But I'm aware that now the amount of electricity being exported has reduced, but we still have exports still being undertaken. And I hope government is attending to some of these things, because if our role is to speak, there are 3 roles of a member of parliament: to make laws in parliament, to pass the national budget, and to provide oversight. Oversight ya ifinde chitalelo. Na isa kunomu katika mshimu mufulira. Na isa landa pafintu ifile kumaba mining suppliers. It's a reminder to government that alpana mshalila. Can you attend to these challenges facing our people? Why should mining suppliers lose property? Because they've not been paid. Why should small businesses suffer because the bulk of our electricity is being exported? These are fundamental questions that we expect our colleagues in government to respond to, without looking at which political party this particular individual is coming from, because we have a country to run.
Honorable, time is not with us, unfortunately, but I can read a few messages that I have with me this afternoon, just for those that are also listening. One of the text messages we have reads, good morning, Honorable. I like the part where you're explaining ukwabula ukubepa abantu ba Zambia. Chinga chakwe bati efo mulondo lwele efintu finga bombela abena mufulira na copper belt yonse mwe mining. This is Vashke from Kamchanga.
Okay.
That's what that text message says.
Yeah.
This is the text message says, Honorable Mugabu Edena Kabidi Eva Wilson. We need you again on Mafken FM. That's what Wilson from Kantanshi is saying.
Yeah.
This is the text message reads, Honorable, you speak on behalf of Zambians like imwe komwikere kuli bwino ni honorable imwe kuli bwino. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting text. It has no name. The last text message I can accommodate reads, good morning, Honorable. I've enjoyed the show. Definitely speak on behalf of the Zambians.
How much time do I have?
You only have 5 minutes, Honorable, as we wrap up.
Okay, so I'll try and pick out maybe 5 key issues.
Right.
which I think will summarize my submission today.
Right.
Number one, mining is what anchors our economy. We've been told that some people need to go into agriculture. We agree. We've been told some people need to do other economic activities. We agree.
Okay.
But we need to get the mining sector correctly. How do we get the mining sector correctly? Christopher Kang'ombe is saying these special minerals we are calling gold, mufumbwe, mumbwa, mpika, where we've discovered gold.
Yes.
These should be left exclusively for Zambians. Ishiwinde mishila wa mufulira kutila ayama minerals ayasumaya kwato mtengo wa bapamulu. These should be left to the Zambian people. And I'm not going to make an apology. I want to emphasize that other countries have done it. Ghana has done it. Ghana is producing gold and all the gold is going to the local people. It's only the Ghanaians that are participating in the gold subsector. That is the first proposal that we are taking to Parliament. We've already debated it. We are now going to ask government in Mufumbwe, Bushakula Mufumbwe, the people you gave out licenses, how much land has remained where there are minerals?
Right.
Are you still looking for a foreign entity? My submission today is that Zambians must own the gold subsector. That is proposal number one.
Right.
Proposal number two is that when mine suppliers are not paid on time, contractor, instead of you losing houses, instead of you losing property, my proposal to Parliament, which has already been submitted, is that when mining companies fail to pay you on time, if the invoice says you will be paid after 30 days, you will be paid after 60 days, and you are not paid in good time, the mining company should pay you with interest.
Okay.
When we are servicing our orders, interest accrues. So even on the invoice side, instead of people losing property, we expect that invoices should also accrue interest. Thirdly, my third proposal is that instead of the Zambian government exporting maize, can we first sit and analyze what is the projected amount of rain for next farming season? Are we going to have adequate rainfall so that we know that even as we are exporting our maize, we also have enough rainfall that will produce new maize?
Right.
And I think that answers the question from one of the callers, that why can't they subsidize farm inputs? Why can't we ensure that those who are not on FISIP still are able to get affordable fertilizer, affordable seed, so that they are able to produce adequate maize for food security? Lastly, I know we didn't have time to discuss the health system.
Yeah.
Christopher Kang'ombe proposed in Parliament that the National Health Insurance Scheme, which is called NIMA, okay, the law says those of us who are in employment should also support the poor and the vulnerable. Meaning, muno mukatika mufulira nga twalikwata abachikalamba abakoti abateti bakwanisha okulipira endalama sha kufupatala. The fact that some of us are paying kunima, we should also accommodate the poor and the vulnerable. There was debate around whether abalanda bafule babapanima na mutabalingiri okubapo. But the consolation is that government was able to agree that, Christopher, we agree with you that abalanda tufule twababika panima based on the 2018 piece of legislation. Mukulekelesha mwebena mufulira. Umulimo mwatupera twalakonkanyapo ukuubomba. Number one, we'll continue discussing issues to do with improving the mining sector. We'll continue ensuring that national budget is supporting the local people that need to be supported in terms of infrastructure. And lastly, twalakonkanyapo kuchita remind ababuteko bali abaleteke echalo kutila. Umuna amushalila because ukutwale echalo pantanshi kulanda pafya wiyantanshi ukwabulo kulanda pabantu. And I'm sure I've utilized my time correctly to speak to the issues that are affecting our people.
Honorable, it was a privilege to have you in studio from the time we started up until now, hoping to have more conversations with you of such nature, speaking to the people of Zambia, and hearing at what pace and rate are we moving. Thank you very much.
I'm excited to have been invited. I'm grateful to Mafken FM.
Right.
When I come back next time, I'll be updating the residents of Mufulira and other parts of the Copper Belt. Amapange, Ture Pekanya, you know, next year kuleba my elections.
Yes, please.
You are aware that we've had me participating in leadership from councillor, mayor, MP. So I'm in a phase where I'm consulting, trying to talk to different people on my participation next year. Will I stand as a member of parliament again? There are these plans that I'm floating to the people, that the current president will never be president forever. There will be time for Zambians to vote for another president. And I would obviously want the people of Zambia to put me as one of the options as we get to 2021, is it 2031, to Kesalondolola when we come back due to limited time.
I'm looking forward to that conversation. You've just provoked very interesting thoughts right now. But due to time, I'll leave it here, Honorable.
I'm grateful.
Once again, we'll say thank you very much for coming through as well.
I'm very grateful. Thank you.
On behalf of the entire Mafken FM radio production crew, this has been Mwengu Silumbi as your host in studio. I was privileged to host Convince, a member of parliament, Honorable Christopher Kang'ombe. On behalf of the production crew, good afternoon.
Can I wanted a picture. I'll just stand here. So it just shows that I was in studio. Okay. Let me stand here. This shows that we were in studio, right?
You are listening to the biggest hits.
Yeah,
Put down.
Okay, you can switch on that one. Radio station for non-stop classics.